Hello YouTube, Wes here checking in with my vinyl inbox for the month of February 2020. Hope you're all doing well, having a great late winter, early spring season. Doing pretty good here. Had the day off today, so decided to take some time and film my vinyl inbox since it's the March 2nd when I'm filming this. I think I'm going to put this up on the, what is Wednesday, the 5th, I think? 4th or the 5th? I guess it'll be the 4th. Anyway, that's not important to you now. You're watching it whenever you're watching it. Hope you're all doing well, having a great time. Had a pretty good haul for the month of February, and March, I got high hopes that March is going to be a good month as well. March is my birthday month, so I'm going to be doing some shopping for my birthday for some vinyl. But this is what I got in February, and hope you enjoy this. So let's go ahead and dig in and see what I got. First one here is, I don't know if I would call this an upgrade. This is an album I originally purchased back a couple years back when I was placing an order from, I think Soundstage Direct or one of those kind of places. I needed to add on a few more dollars of purchasing to get free shipping. And I found this album originally in their clearance bin for a couple dollars, so I went ahead and added it in to get free shipping, and I really liked the album. And that is Stranger Cats in the Wilderness. So you're asking me, Wes, why, if you already bought this, did you buy it again? And the reason why I bought this is because this is a very colorful album. It's a synth pop album, very dreamy, you know, right up my alley, the stuff I'd normally tend to like to buy. I really love this album. If you've been watching a few years ago and you remember me showing this album before, I really love this album, and it's something I've played over and over again over the past few years. So it was one of those blind buys that turned out to be a good thing. That was on black vinyl, and this is a really colorful album, as you see from the artwork. And actually, if you take the shrink off of here, which I'm not going to do yet, it has a really high gloss cover, and a black piece of vinyl just didn't feel right. So this is the red vinyl version. There was only one sort of colored version. It was red vinyl. And I had this on my Discogs wish list, and somebody posted it up for $4 or $5, still sealed. And I thought, well, I guess now's the time to get it if I want to get the colored version. So, yeah, this is the red vinyl version of it. So, happy to have that. Not sure what I'm going to do with the black one, but I'm glad to have the colored vinyl version. They're pressed at the same place. There's nothing different other than the color. It's a GZ vinyl pressing. If you like modern synth pop, check out Stranger Cat in the Wilderness. Definitely dig them. Really good stuff. All right, this next thing is something I have wanted for a very long time. Finally finishing out the first 5 albums of this group, and that is Metallica, and this is the last one I needed to, as I said, finish out the first 5 albums up through the Black Album, and this is Injustice for All. Really great album from them. Yeah, not much needs to be said about this. I mean, it's Metallica. Love these blackened reissues that they've done. They sound amazing. I just recently put a new stylus on my turntable, stylus on my cartridge. It had been about 2 years, and I was starting to hear a little bit of distortion, and so let this be a PSA. If you haven't changed your stylus in a while, go ahead and look into doing that. If it's been 18 months, 2 years, even longer, it's probably time. So yeah, change of stylus. Played this album as the first thing to play, and I just turned it all the way up, or not all the way up, but I turned it way up and just rocked out, and this sounds just amazing. These blackened reissues are they're awesome. If you want to collect Metallica on vinyl, the originals are really expensive. These are really affordable, and they sound incredible. So yeah, happy to have this final album I needed for the first 5 albums of Metallica. The rest of the Metallica albums I'm okay with having on CD. But definitely wanted to have the first 5 on vinyl, and I do have that now. This is a 2 LP pressing. It's a nice spread out across two LPs. does have an insert with lyrics and liner notes on it. A few little photos here and there. Nice poly-lined inner sleeves. I think these are pressed at Palace. Yeah, they're pressed at Palace. As I said, the mastering on these is awesome. They just sound amazing. Really, really nicely done. So, yeah. Can't recommend the Metallica Blackened reissues enough. So, Metallica's And Justice for All was my second pickup for the month. All right, these next two are Discogs pickups. I saw the second one come up on my... when they send you that daily email of stuff that's on your wish list. If you have a wish list on Discogs, they send you an email every day of new things that are on your wish list, new copies of things that are on your wish list. But this first one I'll talk about is a soundtrack to a movie that was filmed in Mount Dora, Florida. We just recently were there this past weekend. We go there once a year for a powwow that happens late February, early March. It happens at the Mount Dora Flea Market, Renninger's Twin Markets. But anyway, there was a Hollywood movie filmed in Mount Dora, Florida, called Honky Tonk Freeway. It was from comedy movie from 1980 about a town in Florida. It's a tourist town, and then there's going to be a highway built that bypasses the town, so the townspeople are up in arms. They're not sure what to do. They rely on having tourism as their source of income, and so they do all these wacky, crazy things to sort of try to save the town, try to keep the town interesting, keep people coming to the town, even though there's this freeway that's bypassing them. They do things like they paint the whole town pink. We were just there. There's a little bit of remnants of when the whole town was literally painted pink for the movie, and there's remnants of buildings that have some pink paint left on them from the movie from 40 years ago now. But I got the soundtrack to Honky Tonk Freeway, which is it's a soundtrack produced by George Martin of all people, but it's kind of that early 80s country pop kind of thing going on here. I just wanted to have the soundtrack, check it out. I want to get this movie on DVD. It is crazy. It's been long out of print on DVD. It's like $50 or more to buy a DVD of this movie. But I'm on the hunt for it. Maybe one day I'll be able to find it. But yeah, that's the soundtrack to the movie Honky Tonk Freeway. That was on my wish list, and it was coming from the same seller that I ordered the next thing. That was the main reason I placed an order. Alright, so this is the main reason I placed the order on Discogs from an artist I found in the wild at Goodwill once, and ended up falling in love with the group. Really awesome industrial punk kind of group, and that's the group Shock Therapy. So this is my second addition to the collection from Shock Therapy. This is Touch Me and Die. When was this released? 1989 is the year on this one. Yeah, they kind of do this industrial punk kind of thing. It's punky, it's electronic. I really, really dig it, and wanted to have more of their stuff in my collection, so I had their stuff on my wish list, and this one came up in really nice condition at a really good price, so I couldn't pass it up. So yeah, Shock Therapy's Touch Me and Die. I think there's maybe one or two more that I want to get from them. They're on my wish list, but yeah, it was really nice to get this. There's the inner sleeve. That was a really nice find and a nice Discogs pickup. All right, this next one is it's hard to say how it came about. It was an album that was in a lot of people's top 10 lists at the end of the year. Album from 2019, and I saw a video that Mazzy did where he was talking about depressing albums, and this album came up and he talked about it, and I finally just said, I got to get this album. Stopped by the record store on the way home from work that day, and sure enough, they did still have one copy in the bin, so I went ahead and grabbed it, and that is the album from Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds, Ghost Teen. Yeah, I'm new to Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds. I haven't listened to them before. Didn't really know the whole story. Well, I mean, Mazzy talked about the whole story about his teenage son who died, I think 5 years ago now. And this is the first album they've done since that happened. And it's not necessarily about his son, but it is a very depressing album, a very somber album. I definitely cried the first time I heard this album. It's beautiful and somber and sad, and it's one of those albums that it just gets to you. And yeah, I was just feeling that at the time. So I was feeling this album at the time. So I really love this album. Really glad Mazzy sparked me to get this. Really nice 2 LP pressing. There's the gatefold. Inner sleeves are pretty basic with just the song titles and lyrics on them. 2 LPs on black vinyl. Really nice. It's Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds with Ghost Teen. As I said, this album made me cry, but it wasn't a, I wouldn't say it was a good cry, but it was a cry because it was so good and so beautiful and so just, yeah, it just hits you right where it hurts kind of thing. So a great sad album, definitely a good recommendation from Mazzy, and I'm glad to have picked this up. Still trying to revisit a couple of albums from last year, and I'm glad I revisited this one visited it the first time because I didn't really listen to it last year. But yeah, really good album from 2019, and glad to add this one to the collection. All right, this next one we'll talk about is the February album of the month from Vinyl Me Please, and that is the album by The Roots titled Phrenology. 2007 was this one released? 2002. Yeah, a Roots album I did not have, so that's pretty cool. Really nice. I'll go ahead and break this out here. Yeah, really nice packaging on this, sort of a brown cardstock with some gold foil embossing on it. Gold foil stamping. And this is a 2 LP set, and I don't think it's going to show up here on camera, but this is actually sort of a brown and black mix. Marbling. It's very dark brown, but yeah, that's The Roots with Phrenology, the Vinyl Me Please album of the month for February 2020. Awesome album, and definitely glad to have this one. As I said, it was a Roots album I did not have, so really good pickup for the month. Okay, this next batch of records I'm going to share with you are some records I picked up at Planet Retro Records in St. Petersburg, Florida, right after we went to the audio show where we met up with Brad, H2 Vinyl. Decided to go do some digging after lunch as he was down for that, and I decided to suggest that we go to Planet Retro Records. It's my favorite record store in the Tampa, St. Pete area. Brad had not been there before, I don't believe. And yeah, we had a really good time digging there, spent several hours there, had a really good time, enjoyed ourselves, and picked up a pretty good stack of vinyl here. So let's go ahead and get into it. These first couple I'm going to share with you are from their dollar bin. They do have a pretty extensive dollar bin, and I spent a lot of time in there. This first one is a 12-inch single from the group, maybe the artist Revenge. I am not familiar with them, but this is on Factory Records. It's a 12-inch single. It does have the WMNF label on there, so this was a radio copy. But it did say also on here, they did have a note on here, which is pretty cool. I might leave this on here. Solo Dance Project of New Order's Peter Hook. So, New Order related on Factory Records for $1. I'm going to grab it. So, yeah, got that. Haven't had a chance to spin this yet. I need to get it cleaned up. I went to try to spin it once, and it's really dirty. So I need to get this cleaned up before I can spin it. But yeah, that was my first dollar bin pickup. Second dollar bin pickup. This the second Osmonds album I own, and probably the only other Osmonds album I'll ever need to have. The Osmonds did 2 psychedelic albums, and they're pretty cool. The other one is Fresh Horses, I believe is the name of it. If you want to hear the Osmonds do psychedelic music, it's pretty fun, it's pretty enjoyable. Definitely keep an eye out for that one. And this is the other, I guess, a little lesser known, but still a good psychedelic album. I really enjoyed this. I hadn't listened to it before, and that is the Osmonds The Plan. Yeah, really good. Definitely, if you're into pop psych and you haven't heard this or you don't have this, definitely pick it up. Most people just look over the Osmonds. It was in the dollar bin because record store owners don't even really know. Plan. This has a neat sort of packaging. Opens up there with some lyrics. And then it opens up here with a photo. They did it, you know, it's basically a gatefold, but they split the front part of the gatefold so they could put lyrics inside. So I thought that was really a really neat way to do things. Definitely glad to have this. I've looked at this. I found this in thrift stores before. It's always been pretty beat, so finally glad to find a nice copy of it and be able to hear it. And yeah, I definitely dug this. If you like pop psych and you haven't heard this for some reason, definitely get it. All right, this next one is a jazz album, a Herb Alpert album that's really, really popular. Used to be really common. I just never got around to getting it, and now it's getting harder to find. I saw it in the dollar bin there at Planet Retro, still in shrink, and thought, yeah, I got to get it for $1. And that's Herb Alpert's Rise. Of course, has the classic Notorious B.I.G. sample on it. A good album, good sort of late period Herb Alpert album. Sold a lot of copies, and as I said, it used to be so plentiful that I just never picked it up. And yeah, I wanted to have this in the collection, so found a nice in shrink copy of this, really, really clean. So definitely wanted to grab that while I was there. All right, and then the last of the dollar bin pickups from Planet Retro, and then we'll get into the more expensive stuff. Got a really super clean copy of Supertramp's Crime of the Century. Couldn't leave this behind. I have an original of this, and I have a repressing. My original is in not so great shape, so for $1, upgrade my original. Yeah, really, really nice. Definitely an awesome album by Supertramp, and one I really dig, so wanted to pick that up for $1, so added that one in. All right, this next one was in the budget room. They have a room that's like $3 to $5 range. There were some dollar records in there also, so $1 to $5 range, budget room kind of records. This is an 80s release from Santana. This is Marathon. Not 80s. This is 1979, but getting close to the 80s. A Santana release I did not have, and I collect Santana when I can, and for $3 I grabbed this one. Give it a try. I don't know if I'll recognize any of the songs on here. This is another one I have not spun yet, but I look forward to spinning this one in the future. So it's Santana's Marathon from 1979. All right, then two more expensive albums. This is an album I've wanted for a long time. It's been on my wish list for a while. Just haven't got around to getting it, and they had it in their used bin for a really good price, so I went ahead and grabbed that, and that's from the pop artist Troye Sivan. This is his debut album, Blue Neighborhood, that came out in 2016, I think, or so. I think maybe it's 2015 is the year on this one, but yeah, just one I've had on my wish list for a while. Wanted to grab it. I loved his follow-up to this that came out a few years ago. It was one of my albums of the year. But yeah, Troye Sivan's Blue Neighborhood, awesome modern pop artist. This one does have a poster, really nice poster, and got some lyrics as well. It's a 2 LP set, but not a gatefold, unfortunately. Troye Sivan's Blue Neighborhood, picked that one up in February, and glad to have found it in the wild in a used bin for a really good price. It's been on, as I said, it's been on my wish list for a while. Just haven't got around to getting it on vinyl. Finally do. Hopefully it'll come out with something new. It's been about 2 years now, so should be something new coming soon here, I would imagine. Hopefully. All right, this next one I have to share with you is actually a Gainesville band, and that kind of narrows it down. Not too many Gainesville bands, but this is Less Than Jake with their album Borders and Boundaries, and I had to grab this. I do not have any Less Than Jake on vinyl. All my Less Than Jake is on CD. But yeah, this is their album they did. They put Gainesville, a map of Gainesville on the front cover of the album. I just got to have this one. This is the album with Gainesville Rock City on it, the single on this album. And I could give you directions to my house with this album cover. So I had to get this. This is just so cool. And yeah, cool to find this in the wild. And I didn't find it in Gainesville, but I found it in Florida. And yeah, I love Less Than Jake. As I said, everything I have from them is on CD. but want to start collecting them on vinyl when I can, and found this one there at Planet Retro and picked it up. And this is definitely the one for me to start with, just because, like as I said, you know, it's Gainesville. I'm a Gainesville native. I was born here. I've lived here all my life. You could find my house on this album cover, our house on this album cover. Unfortunately, this does not have, there's supposed to be a DVD with this, and it does not have that. Unfortunately, I was hoping it would, but it does not. But there's an insert with lyrics on it. Less Than Jake, Borders and Boundaries. It was the best find for me at Planet Retro Records in St. Petersburg. So definitely a highly recommended record store if you are ever in the Tampa, St. Pete area looking for somewhere to go. Bananas gets a big sort of recognition in that area. And Bananas is a good place, but for a really well curated place that you're going to find just some killer stuff, I highly recommend going to Planet Retro. Okay, and this last batch I have to share with you are the ones I picked up over the weekend down in Mount Dora. As I said, we were down there for the powwow, but there's also a flea market there. Picked up some stuff while I was there. These first two were dollar records from a booth that had DVDs, CDs, and vinyl. I picked up a bunch of CDs, 1 DVD, and 2 LPs here. First one, I got a still in shrink copy of George Michael's Faith. Couldn't leave that behind. I do have this already, but for $1 for a still in shrink with the hype sticker, really nice copy of that. So yeah, had to grab that. Not much needs to be said about that one. And then the second one was pretty cool. I haven't seen this album, even though it had several big hits on it. I guess because it came out in '88. It's sort of in that late period of vinyl where it just didn't really sell well on vinyl. But that is the Bangles album Everything. This one has In Your Room on it, and Eternal Flame is also on here. 2 big hits of theirs. Really cool. Again, in shrink. Doesn't have a hype sticker, but really nice clean copy for $1. I wasn't going to leave it behind. And then these next batch of records are from an actual record shop that's in the flea market. Really nice guy. I'll have to put the name of the record shop there so you can look it up. They do have a Facebook page, but it's an antique. It's not an antique mall. It's a flea market record shop, so he's only open on the weekends. But he's got a really nice setup there. He has $2 bins or 6 for $10, and then $5 bins or 4 for $20, and then more higher price stuff as well. As I said, really nice setup, really well curated, really well organized. So I picked up 3 from the $5 bins. So I'll share those with you first. First thing I got here is the 1983 album from the Split Enz titled Conflicting Emotions. I had never seen this one before, so for $5, definitely wanted to pick this up. From 1983 is the year on this one, on A&M Records. Yeah. Just give that a spin, and it sounds really good. I'm glad I was able to find that in the wild and add it to the collection. This next one is some early electronica, and you know I love my electronica. This is from a group that I am somewhat familiar with. I know of them, but I haven't really explored their music before, so I was glad to find some of their stuff. There was actually 2 albums from them in the $5 bin, and I ended up going with this one. This is Gandavara by Beaver Krauss from 1975, I think is the year. 71 is the year on this one. Early electronic stuff. This also has Mike Bloomfield is on guitar on here as well. Ronnie Montrose is on here. Bud Shank. A couple of people. They did this. It's sort of a rock electronic album. It has a longer title than just Gandavara. Gandavara, the Celestial Musician, a musical soundtrack for a non-existent film, Beaver Krauss. It's on the Warner Brothers Green label. So yeah, it's Beaver Krauss with Gandavara. Glad to have found that one for a really nice price and be able to dig in and explore some of their music, because as I said, I've heard of them, I know of them, but I don't really know their music. I don't know how they fit into the electronic genre. I'm more familiar with, like Wendy Carlos and Kraftwerk and stuff like that. So I'm looking forward to checking them out. And then the last of the $5 records, I got a piece of prog here. This is the Prog Supergroup UK with their album UK. You got Alan Holdsworth, Bill Bruford, John Wetton, and Eddie Jobson. Really, really cool. I have not heard this before. I know I've seen people show this in the vinyl community before and recommend it, and it's prog, and it's definitely something I enjoy. So I have spun this a little bit, and definitely dig this. So I was glad to have picked that one up. So that was a really nice find for $5, I think. All right, and then these last ones I'm going to share with you are the 6 for $10 I picked up while I was there at the record shop. First one I got here is James Taylor, Never Die Young. James Taylor album I haven't seen before. This was, again, late. This is 1988 as well. So the same year as the Bangles album. So yeah, late period James Taylor that I haven't heard before. So we're going to check that one out. Nice copy of that in the shrink with the hype sticker. So for $1.66 or whatever 6 for $10 works out to be, that was a nice find. Next one is an album I'm pretty sure I have. I'm pretty sure I picked up a copy of this at Second and Charles last year, but went ahead and grabbed another one just in case, since it was so affordable, and that is Sherbs with their album The Skill. I've talked about Melanie a lot in the past, and after we saw her at the Florida Folk Festival, I guess it's been about 3 years ago now, really sort of started to take her more seriously, enjoyed her performance there, and just really wanted to dig deeper into the Melanie catalog. So this is her self-titled album. This is a gatefold on Buddha Records, so that was cool. Definitely nice to pick that one up for not too much money. So I was glad to add that one to the collection. All right, this next one is an artist I was unfamiliar with, but pretty well known in the power pop world, and this is Phil Seymour with his self-titled album from 1980 is the year on this one. Precious to Me, I think, was the single on here, and pretty well-known song. Yeah, but I spun this just a little while ago, and I think I'm gonna like it. So Phil Seymour, self-titled, best known for working with like Tom Petty and stuff, but he's a good artist, so I definitely want to check that out, explore that. So that was a nice one to pick up. This next one is another one. I'm not sure if I have this one or not. I may not. This is still in shrink with a hype sticker. It's really clean copy, so I thought, yeah, I better go ahead and grab it. And that is Parting Should Be Painless by Roger Daltrey. 1984 is the year on this one. This has Walking in My Sleep, but just by that song title, I'm not sure I recognize the track, but yeah. And then the last of my 6 albums I picked up there at the record shop, and the last for February. This is the Richie Havens album, The Great Blind Degree, 1971 on Stormy Forest Records. Really nice, clean copy of that. So yeah, that's gonna do it for February 2020, my new vinyl finds, new vinyl pickups for the month. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you for watching. If you liked the video, give me a thumbs up, leave me some comments down below or questions if you have any. Think about subscribing if you aren't already, so you can be kept up with future video releases on the channel here. Remember, there is no bad music, only music you don't like. Thanks for watching. We'll see you again next time. Cheers.